We wish a very good morning to one and all present here. I, Noman Khan, welcome you all on behalf of Department of Masters of Business Administration, Devgiri Institute of Engineering and Management Studies, Aurangabad, for this interview series. DIEMS is known for imparting technical, professional and life skill among the students with an aim to create a better tomorrow for the society, and also committed for nurturing, maintaining quality environment for academic excellence. Today, we are fortunate to have Honorable Anjan Mukherjee, founder, Taraltec Solutions Private Limited, with us today. Now, I request Honorable Rabba Sir, HOD MBA Department, to please welcome and felicitate Anjan Mukherjee Sir. With a huge round of applause, I request Rabba Sir to please welcome and felicitate our today's guest of honor. Now, I request Professor Feroz Pathan Sir to please welcome and felicitate Mr. Rohit Audi, CEO of MAGIC, for today's program. Professor Feroz Pathan Sir is welcoming Mr. Rohit Audi Sir. Now, I request Megha Kulkarni ma'am to please welcome and felicitate today's eminent guest, Mr. Ashish Gandhi sir, who is founder and director of MAGIC. Thank you so much, ma'am. Within a short period of time, our institute has widely spread its reputation in and around the region. The institute is imparting technical and professional skills among the students, and of course, it was impossible without the able leadership of Dr. Ulhas Shiurkar and his dedicated team. The institution has been known to create not just the managers and engineers, but the world-class citizens, and imbibe and inculcate in them a sense of patriotism and respect for the law of land. Behind this, there is a motivated and result-focused leader like our beloved director, Dr. Ulhas Shiurkar, who is working around the clock with his entire team. Within the last 11 years, the institute has tremendously improved its quality of education, and is, of course, the outcome of creative problem-solving and lean thinking of our team, who sacrificed a lot in shaping the lives of the students, who burned midnight oil to develop such a substantial ecosystem. Today, DIEMS is the #1 choice of the students. We at DIEMS are giving holistic training to all the students so that they develop right kind of attitude, knowledge and skill, which will help them to serve the society in a very better way. And such interview series support this to a very great extent, where eminent speakers unfold their professional life journey to the students. Moving forward, now I earnestly request, before requesting Mr. Ashish Gandhi sir to guide us, I would introduce him in a very short span. Sir has worked with NIRLAP and he has a very rich experience of more than 3 decades, and he is pioneer for many projects of NIRLAP like Strive, incubation centers and projects in CMIA. I would also mention that sir has served as the president for CMI as well. With these words, I request Honorable Sir to please guide us on this occasion. With a huge round of applause, I request Mr. Ashish Gandhi sir to please guide us.
Good morning. After long gap, MAGIC is conducting in-person program in an academic institution, and that's the precise reason why I am here. Actually, earlier I was not scheduled to be here. Rohit and Anjan sir, they are the attraction for today's interaction. But I thought, let me take this opportunity because interacting with young students, brilliant minds, such opportunities are rare, and one should catch up with such opportunities. So very quickly, I will introduce you MAGIC. MAGIC is a business incubator and accelerator. The full form of MAGIC is Marathwada Accelerator for Growth and Incubation Council. Basically, MAGIC is promoted by members of Chamber of Marathwada Industries and Agriculture, CMI, which is the apex body of industries. As part of various initiatives and activities of Chamber, for last almost 20 years or so, Chamber is regularly interacting with various academic institutions for various projects and workshops, seminars. So while working with various academic institutions, what we noticed was we were lacking a permanent platform wherein the academicians, students, industry members, or even the government officers, all of them can come on one common platform and interact on an ongoing basis. So we were exploring what kind of such initiative can fulfill all these objectives. At that point of time, we were working with a German development agency called GIZ, and there were two interventions happening with the support of GIZ. One was in the area of skilling and the other was in the area of innovation. So while working with them, we came across this concept of incubator, and that was the year 2015. Even Startup India and other initiatives were not launched in India by then. So we quickly figured out which are the good incubators in the country at that point of time. We studied the way they were functioning, their policies, the way they were operating, and we came out with our own setup for supporting academicians and academic institutions, students, basically for nurturing their ideas and promoting entrepreneurship. And that's how MAGIC came into existence. Subsequently, we registered this entity as a legal entity, a Section 8 company, which means it's a not-for-profit initiative. Basically, most of the incubators are dedicated to any specific domain. For example, there could be an incubator which is focused on defense-related initiatives, or there could be an incubator which is targeted at medical devices. But the best part of MAGIC is we are sector agnostic. The unique thing about MAGIC is all the mentors are from industries and they have got at least 25 years of experience, first-hand entrepreneurial experience, and they guide the innovators. And it is completely selfless activity. You can call it as a giving back to society by the entrepreneurs, and that's how we are catering to various ideas across the country. During pandemic, we started our operations virtually. We are connected with more than 138 startups across India, across various domains, and we could support such startups only because we have got experts from various sectors. You can come up with any idea and we have a in-house expert who can help guide and encourage the innovator. There are many things about MAGIC. MAGIC is located very close to this institute, and we are having excellent relationship with the institute. We have already signed MOU also. So any student or faculty or anybody for that matter, irrespective of their age, irrespective of their educational background, and irrespective of their idea, nature of idea, all are welcome. So we will support. You can interact with our team. Only one last announcement that I would like to make on this occasion. Right now, we are promoting an open innovation challenge across the country, and Innovate for India is the title of the innovation challenge, and you can submit your ideas online, participate. There are prizes worth 5 lakh rupees apart from other support for nurturing your innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. According to John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, if your action inspires others to dream more, learn more and do more and become more, you are a leader. And we are proud to host one such leader, Mr. Anjan Mukherjee today. Before requesting honorable guests for the interview session, I take this proud privilege to introduce him in brief. Mr. Anjan is an entrepreneur and innovator with more than 3 decades of cross-functional experience, out of which he has marked with 2 decades as a first generation entrepreneur. He has also co-authored seminal technical books. He has 1 patent and 3 pending patents in his name registered. Presently, he is the founder of Taraltec Solutions Private Limited, an innovation fluid technology-based startup, a pure science, research and development centric company. Sir is a multitasking, multifaceted and multidimensional personality with rich experience and hands-on approach. Sir has completed his B.Tech from IIT Bombay and Sir has pursued MBA from IIM Bangalore. Sir was also awarded with many prestigious awards and he stood winner at National Startup Award, Water Network Government of India for the year 2020, winner at Sustainability Maharashtra Startup Week Government of Maharashtra for the year 2020, winner at Best Innovation RISC and NIRD Hyderabad, Ministry of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Government of India in the year 2019. He also stood winner for India Innovation Growth Program 2.0 IIGP, Department of Science and Technology Government of India, Lockheed Martin and Tata Trust 2017. Let's give a huge round of applause for such an amazing personality who has been working round the clock for educating the masses. And again, sir will be interviewed by Mr. Rohit. And Mr. Rohit, we welcome you on behalf of our team. Let me introduce Mr. Rohit sir as well. Mr. Rohit Auti sir is the CEO of MAGIC from past 20 years and he has a rich experience with MNC and startups, cross-functional expertise and local and international corporate setups. Sir, we welcome you on behalf of the team. So with the permission, sir, can we proceed with the dialogues?
Sure.
So you need a mic out there.
Yeah, we need a mic.
Yep. Hello. I just want to start with a correction, which is it was mentioned here that I did my B.Tech from IIT Bombay. That is actually not true. I was there for 2 years and I quit IIT Bombay during our time, which was like supposed to be absolutely unheard of during those times, and I became a marine engineer. So that is a small correction. But there is a further correction because much later in life I was a guest speaker at IIT Bombay. So that gave me a lot of thrill.
So I think he raised a very good point because after your host spoke about him and he spoke about his excellent education background, which is not true, which Anjan just talked about. So I myself am just an engineer and I am an MBA dropout. So I would in fact recommend you to not follow my steps, but follow your goals. So that's all I would say. So had I got a place like DIEMS, probably I would have continued, but I dropped out, and good to know that you also dropped out. So excellent. Super. So we'll start off with the interview, and we have a pretty loaded questionnaire. I hope it does not stress you out, and we'll have a lot of questions from the students as well. So to begin with, can we have like a brief background of who you are as a person and what your journey has been so far till here in a short, like kind of a brief story?
Yeah. So let me caution you all. Being an entrepreneur, I have been told to speak for just 2 minutes to speak for 3 hours. So whenever you want me to stop, tell me to stop, I will stop right there. And I will, round it off also properly. because the people you interact with have got so less time, so you have to suit yourself to them. Okay, so what you asked me again, let me caution you, just like him, please don't follow my example because it is absolutely bizarre and it does not, it's not normal, which you will soon come to know why it's not normal. I was brought up in the campus of IIT Bombay, where my dad was a professor, my mother was a teacher in kindergarten, and like it happens in the campus, unless you get into IIT, you're a dead duck, especially for the people who have been brought up in the campus. I also thought so, but bizarrely again I got in. And then after doing 2 years there, I realized that this is not what I want to do in life, and just quit, which created chaos there. You can imagine, dad a prof in IIT, and here is a guy who's got in and he just left. So anyway, I became a marine engineer, which during that time was just a certificate course, and it was like in nobody's scheme of things for anyone who's slightly academically inclined. But it gave me great pleasure because I was working with my hands, and that's what I wanted to do. To the extent when I passed out of, graduated from DMET, at that time it was called DMET, now it's called MERI, it's under the Indian Maritime University. It wasn't even a certificate course that whatever certificate you got was not recognized as equivalent to a degree or anything like that. So basically all your options for further education got cut off then and there. Anyway, I joined ships. I sailed all around the world. I became a chief engineer on board ship. And during those times, there was a major recession. And if you got off a ship, you will not get another one because there were too many people there and not so many jobs. So I was sailing continuously, scared that if I get off, no one will take me back. So you won't believe it, in a span of around more than 4 years, I took, and that too for just clearing my exams, because you have intermittent exams if you want to progress up in that. I took all of 2 months leave in those 4 years, and there is no Saturday, no Sunday, because the ship is running, so there is nothing that. And life was very tough. The minimum you work was around 12 hours a day, minimum. And normally it used to be around 14-15 hours on a regular basis. For 4 years I did it. Ultimately the company told me, you can't do this, you get off. And by which time I had accumulated leave of 1.5 years. And I didn't know what to do in 1.5 years. And the recession was still on, so I wouldn't have got a job anyway. So I said, okay, let me try my luck and see what I can do. Let me try management, like all of you. And I said, since it is not allowed in India because my qualification is not that, let me try for GMAT. And I said, okay, I will prepare for GMAT. And just for a lark, for a practice session, I gave CAT. I had applied for it because I wanted to practice, and there were just 10 days available for me to appear for CAT. Horror of horrors, I got through with all of 10 days preparation. So I didn't know what to do. I said, chalo. And the difference of the fees was stark. Like here it was, during my time, it was in actually my 2 years of, I am Bangalore. So in my 2 years, I actually made money. Can you believe it? Because the fees were ridiculously nothing. And during the summer, you could work for your summer training and make money. But even otherwise, when you got those class projects, I said, why should I be, doing some Arbit class projects? So I said I will find my own project. So I used to go to all the industries in Bangalore or any of the offices. They would pay me. But at that time, you won't believe, I mean, for today's people, it is like very hard to believe that phone calls were a very, very big thing. So I said, okay, I will do your project, but let me make the phone calls free from your office. So I could call home, I could call whoever, or these small things, they give me a lunch or give me a dinner, things like that. And that I thought was absolutely great, a great thing for doing these projects. So I got practical experience as well as I did all these sort of things. So somehow I cleared MBA, then typical MBA path. I was in ITC as a branch sales manager for West Zone. Then I set up a Norwegian company here in India, and then I started my own in 1998, and I was doing all sorts of management consultancy and anything and everything. That's the time when the ministry suddenly realized that this guy is slightly academically inclined, so let us try to use him in some way. And they told me to study the Indian shipbreaking industry, which was at that time booming, but government of India did not have any data on them. So they told me, you go and figure out what it is, because they wanted the interministerial committee, they wanted some data. So I said, okay, great, but they won't pay me. So I said, okay, I fund it myself. So I went to cut costs and to do whatever. I went and stayed with the workers in Alang. I don't know, in Gujarat there is a place called Alang where the ships come to be broken, and then the steel is used by re-rolling mills and used as saria and for making all sorts of things. So I stayed with the workers for 7 days in their hut, and anyway, after that I made a presentation to the committee of interministerial committee. They were too zapped that how so much of data has come in, and that was the first time ever anyone in the world did study of that kind anywhere. They couldn't have done it anywhere else because this was the major shipbreaking yard. Anyway, they didn't pay me anything. I said, okay, no problem. I kept doing various things. One of the major things which I got involved in was, I don't know, you all must have heard of JNPT, yes. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust. So they were converting the bulk terminal to container terminal. It was to the third container terminal there. So I got appointed as one of the pointsmen for one of the consortiums, which is like, it was a multinational consortium. It gave me huge exposure because I was sitting in all the discussions and with the lawyers, with the financiers, how to raise money, how to do this, how to do that, everything, anything and everything. So I did that also. And that report of that shipbreaking thing, ship recycling by then it had become, was lying with me. So I said, what to do with this? So I said, hello, let me make it into a book. That's when I realized that it is so difficult to, it's very easy to write a book, but very difficult to actually get it published. So what I did was, again, it's a very strange thing. I got hold of a big government official. I told him, why don't you be the first author? So that didn't have any, it didn't matter to me whether I'm the first author, second author, or no author at all. So he said, okay, for him it was a great thing because he became an author and it made him, got his promotions. And for me, that book got published. It's there in all the libraries, all engineering libraries everywhere in the world because that's the first book of its kind, anything which happened. So it gave me a big lesson that, don't go after all these things. As long as it goes forward, just go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter whether you're getting any of the fame, any of the popularity or any of the money. It just does not matter. If it has to come, it will come. So this happened. Then one early morning in 2005, 2004 actually, I got up with a start and I said, what the hell am I doing with my life? This is this is nothing. I mean, this is such a waste of whatever I know and whatever I can do. So I chucked up everything, whatever I was doing. I said, I actually love engineering, I actually love science. So I started studying. Fortunately, I stayed just outside IIT Bombay, and I started using the central library. Because I grew up there, I knew the watchman and all those people, so they let me in also. So they, but for borrowing books, I had to ask someone or the other, uncle, please give me a book, or whoever, please let me borrow a book. But I was practically living in the central library for some 5-6 months. Another very interesting habit came into me during that time, that I get up very early in the morning. I started getting up very early in the morning, around 4 o'clock, because that was the time I found that you get maximum peace and you can study whatever you want to do, no one to disturb you. Anyway, then there was a very interesting problem on board ship, which is when a ship goes from whenever you want me to stop, please tell me to stop. I can go on. Yeah.
So, in fact, it's a great story, and I can relate to your predicament of rising up one day and saying, what the hell am I doing? Because that happens a lot with me. But we have a long list of questions, and I think everything we want to speak about potentially will also even get covered. So, one interesting question one of my colleagues had when we decided to interview you was, how did you come up with this name? Like, what does Taraltec represent?
Okay, Taral in Sanskrit means fluid. Also, it means brilliant. So, Taraltec. So, you can say it's fluid technology or brilliant technology, whatever. And let me also add, when our reactor, which we have made, we used to call it Taraltec reactor. But then I realized that if I call it Taraltec reactor, what will be my next product called? So I made it into Taraltec MAGICx reactor. So we added the new word MAGICx for branding sake. Now MAGICx has got a very interesting, firstly, I mean, we all know that the water is coming out of Mother Earth in what I do. So that is why MAGICx has got it rolls off the tongue very easily for rural folks. And we want to foray into Africa. And Maji in Swahili means water. So it was a double meaning thing. And that's how my reactor is now called Taraltec Maji. And branding in all these things, as Gade sir will definitely tell you, is a very, very big thing. Very big thing. And we are just lucky that we could get these things right, probably.
That's interesting. I mean, because you spoke about Maji, I think there is even a song, O Maji Re or something. Yeah, I guess that's connected to that. So what was the inspiration to start off this venture, and what were those real world problems or unmet needs that you identified, like you said, out of observation, that you thought should be addressed, and that's how you came up with this venture?
Like I told you that people were working on this problem before, but the academics were working on this. So it is very different when what is really happening in reality and what is science telling you, or what is people sitting in classrooms telling you, that to an extent very different. So when I actually saw what was happening in the villages in India, and people, there was rampant cases of diarrhea, cholera, typhoid. In fact, In India alone, there are 38 million cases per year of waterborne, coming out of waterborne diseases, and around 74 million work days are lost because of this. And it's got a huge economic value, around 600-700 million dollars per year in India alone. The other very interesting statistics is 300 to 400 million people out of the 850 million people living in rural areas, around 300 to 400 million people get their potable water out of a hand pump. This will be a very shocking statistics where people who have not gone to the villages, it will be very difficult for them to fathom. The other thing is, let me just ask you a very simple question. How many hand pumps do you think are there in India? Any guess?
Maybe 10 lakh. Maybe 10 lakh.
1 million.
Yes.
Anyone else? Anyway, the correct answer is 13 million, out of which around 8 million are operational, which is giving water to this 300 to 400 million. Worldwide, this number from hand pump is around 2 to 3 billion. The number of people this hand pumps serve. So you can imagine what sort of a huge market this is, totally unaddressed. It is so bizarre.
So, what solution did you eventually come up with to address this issue?
See, when I saw this, I saw that there are many solutions which are already there. One of them is chlorination, or you boil water, or you have RO, you have some filter or something or the other. But if you see in remote rural areas, there is no access. Number one, logistics is a huge problem. Who will maintain it? Where will the consumables come from? Now, these are all very, very live problems. So, when I started off in this, I realized that, these are, you have to address these, whatever be your solution. And that's when, this particular idea came on me, that it should be without maintenance, it should be without consumables, it should not, it should be fit and forget for life, it should have no behavioral changes required. Because the moment you want to make something and it requires very big behavioral change, that itself is a huge roadblock. So, fortunately, I came through all these things, and it does not, it's a one-time fit product, does not require consumables or maintenance or anything.
So, do you think this is a good time to break the suspense and show what we have?
It's as simple as this, but most of the people ask me that if it is so simple, why didn't it happen before? Let me give you a very small anecdote what happened. I was made an innovation fellow by the Royal Academy of Engineering of UK, and there were around, I was taken to London, UK government expense, and told to make a presentation and all those things. So I presented this. So there again, one of the people asked me that how come no one thought of it? I said I have absolutely no idea why no one thought of it, because it's a basic, simple physics principle. How many of you are engineers here, by the way? Oh, not very many. Okay. For others, it will not make that much of a sense. There is a very simple physics principle called Bernoulli's, and we have used that principle to make this. So anyway, coming back to the main thing, that they asked me why no one has made it. So I said I have no idea, and actually anyone could have done it. No idea why no one made it. Then I thought, okay, I am in a very, very interesting place. It was in the Royal Academy of Engineering main building, and with 50, 60 fellows of the very highly learned doctorates. Here I am from third world country, so-called, without a degree. Let me just put one small chavi. And I was taken there under the Newton Fund. They were funding my trip. So I said, sir, before the apple fell on Newton's head, I'm sure apples must have fallen. It is just his luck or whatever that he has, found out something more to it. The same way here I am, I've done it. It gave me great pleasure when I heard the guffaw coming out of the audience. So that's that.
That's very interesting. So basically what we are saying is this is a product that anybody can use to eventually have clean water, and it has minimum to no maintenance involved at all.
This kills bacteria.
Okay.
And that's all it does. So it's not that it will remove any salts, arsenic, fluoride or TDS or anything like that, but it will kill all the microbes, which itself is very, very big, because then you can, like I had mentioned before, you can remove diarrhea, cholera and typhoid, which is of the waterborne diseases, that is more than 95%. So that is very big. And even if you have fluoride, arsenic or whatever, it does not mean that there are no microbes. There are microbes even there. So that also needs to be killed, and those arsenic fluoride removal.
Excellent. So because this is not a social venture, it's a business, and I'm sure you have to have a team behind bringing this venture up, eventually to scale it up. So because we are all MBA students over here, and there might be some budding startups and entrepreneurs as well within this group, from a team building perspective, are there any experiences, any points that you would want to call out? Because technology is one thing, but of course a single person cannot build an enterprise. You need a team. So what were your considerations? How did you go about with picking your core team, the extended team, the eventual workforce, whether it is sales or finance or anything else? Because this is going to be part of their bread and butter. These are all MBA guys.
Yeah, so I will answer the question in a slightly different way. Entrepreneurships are of various kinds. One is like what normally people do, which is execution led. It's already there somewhere else in the world, and you've probably copied that model, tweaked it to Indian condition and taken it forward. So it's not something very, very new, and that you will get enough people to take it forward. The other kind is, say, what I'm doing. This is the only product, this is the first time ever that this particular technology has been used in anything. Forget about for safe water, for anything. So in that sense, it's a hugely pioneering effort. And let me also tell you, any pioneering effort, you will not find people. You will get lot of people for execution, but you will not find people for really doing that raw thinking. So for me, and also let me tell you the other thing, is the worst thing to be a pioneer. You should be the second, third or the fourth, where you already had your learning from wherever, and you're just making it far better than what they were doing. In my case, I was that initial fool who did it. So I realized that since I'm not going to find people, and let me also add that this is, apart from being first in the world in anything, there is no literature available. So where do you actually start, and how do you really get these people to work with you? And the type of people who you would need, they would absolutely have to be world class, because to understand a new concept and a new something, it requires a different type of a person, and those people are not available. how many can you employ of these type? And I am, the other thing is I'm bootstrapped. I have not yet taken any monies from anybody. It's all my money, and I've generated money out of sales up till now. So I realized that the easiest way to do it is, since I had that idea, I broke the problem up into small parts. And thanks to my IIT Bombay background, I could get hold of people who were the absolutely doing cutting edge work in that field. It's a very, suppose this problem has been broken up into at least 9 parts. I mean, such a simple thing is being broken up into 9 parts, and I gave these parts to people who were the best in the field. In any case, it couldn't have been done at my end because you require specialized equipment, you require specialized software. Where will I get these? It's not possible. You cannot even buy these things off. They are very expensive. So I thought that is a better model. So you will be shocked to know that every single thing is subcontracted out. Every single thing. There is nothing. I work out of my bedroom. I have got a small workshop in my bedroom. All prototypes I make by hand. After that, I get it. Most of the things which I cannot do, I get it 3D printed. Like I'm going today to 3D print something else which I have found it's there in my head now. So, and I got the best, patent lawyer, who's otherwise the patent lawyer for the government of India. He's the guy who fights for Basmati and things like that. I've got the best law firm, who are the law firm for Tatas. I've got the best chartered accountant, who's the chartered accountant of very many of the biggies. How can I employ them? Any of these people? Not possible. So you just break up the problem into small parts, and most of the time the parts are so small that they don't even want to charge you. It is like, one small, I'll give you an example. Like, I didn't know which are the, what is the microbe to kill? When you have a waterborne disease, what is the microbe to kill? Then I realized that there is a microbe called for E. coli. Now, E. coli is supposed to be the marker microbe. And if you kill E. coli, means all the others are gone. Now, if I had to do that myself, or employ someone to just get that particular data, I mean, did he charge me a bomb? Here I got it. I just asked one guy, said, what is a marker molecule? A marker microbe? He said E. coli. अगर E. coli को मार दिया तो सब मर गया. Well, very good. So that knowledge came to me. Now, how to kill it? I require pressure. So what is the strength of the shell of that microbe? This required a marine biologist to tell me the strength of that shell. Now, for me to find that or employ someone, not worth it. I just went and got the best guy. I told him, "Kitna hai iska?" So he told me, "This is the value." Off the shelf, tuck. And so I got that. Next came the technology which I used, and how much force is required and how to generate that force. Again, I asked someone else. He told me that this is the force and this can be created like this. If you just combine all of these together, you have a thing. And then you do a CFD. I'm sure very many of you will be knowing what a CFD is, computational fluid dynamics. Is how you place it's a modeling of the fluid flows. That also I asked someone, he said, I'll do it for you. This is what you're asking is quite dalbat. Someone else did that for me. This venture has come out of all of 40,000 rupees, out of which 30,000 was setting up the company and doing all these sort of things. So from 40,000 rupees, this has come out from my bedroom. I don't have any external lab, I have nothing. How do I did the trials? For the trials, I sold the piece and I told them, kindly give me the results. So they gave me the results. Then one fine day I realized that one of my school classmates, she is a microbiologist and she works in a lab and she was heading the lab. I said, damn good, will you do this for me? So I set up a hand pump on her terrace and she had borewell water. So I said, every time and I, under the hand pump, I just put a drum and there was borewell water. I said, spike it with whatever microbe you want to spike it. And they had in our lab all sorts of microbes. So we used to just, and then 3-4 strokes and used to get the water. So initial and final used to go to the lab and test it and give it to me. Out of thousands of tests, what is 1-2 tests? For me, I got it free. Otherwise, they are very expensive. Each test is around $500. It can be anything. Here I got it free. You have to be absolutely, for the larger good, people will do a lot of things. I'll put it that way.
So that's very interesting, Kshitij. In fact, one of the points we should add as outcome of this meeting is there are different ways in which business can be modeled or the operations can be modeled. So I think in most of our past interviews we have spoken a lot about how to build a team organically. Now here we have an example as to how efficiently and effectively a team can be built inorganically. So they don't become part of your company, but they still work for you. And I think since all of us here are MBA students, at every decision-making moment, I think there will always be option 1, 2, 3, like they show in movies to US presidents. So that is where you will have to take very judicious decisions as to which track you take, like you were speaking about, whether you hire somebody on board or you contract it out or you beg, borrow, steal or whatever else you do.
The thing is, if it was a normal product which was done before, then I know what is to expect. Here I didn't even know what to expect. So there is no point in taking someone, and these people are not available. Plain simple, they are not available. So where do you get them anyway? And those equipments which are needed to do the things are also not available. You have to go somewhere. You cannot do it yourself. Impossible.
Makes sense. Most important question, and this is what everybody loves to know, especially from a successful entrepreneur. What have been your top 3 challenges when from the point you decided to launch this idea, to start building it, to the point where it actually is rolled out in the market and people are buying it?
I won't actually use the word challenges at all, because I never started out to be an entrepreneur. I'm a fluke entrepreneur. So I was doing it for my own joy. It became a business again by fluke. It has got nothing to do with me. I enjoy whatever I'm doing, and every so-called challenge is a part of the journey itself. And whichever entrepreneurship you do, unless you enjoy the journey, you are a dead duck. Because don't think that you will, you want to reach here and you will go straight line there. It will never ever happen. Never ever happen. You do something and something else comes, and I'll give you a very small example of where I started. I think I had started that and I stopped there. I'm a marine engineer. So on a ship, when it goes from point A to point B without cargo, you take in seawater to stabilize it. And when you take in the cargo, you throw out this seawater. And that is the normal thing to do. Been going on since eternity. But a regulation was to come in that when you throw out this seawater, which has been picked up from another location, it has got microbes, and that will destroy the local ecosystem, local marine ecosystem. And that is why, off Australia there is a great barrier reef, coral barrier reef, that has been totally destroyed because alien water has come in there, and like all immigrants, that immigrant microbe is far more hardworking than the local microbe, and it has been wiped off. So that I was doing that, and we came out with a solution. But unfortunately, I needed government support, which didn't come. So I said, okay, let me try this technology in other things. So we got into wastewater treatment, sewage treatment, for anything and everything, cooling water treatment. And ultimately, like I said, I went to a village and I saw this and said, okay, this is great. This is something which will really be helpful. So, as you see, I started somewhere and I ended up totally somewhere else. Tomorrow, God knows what will happen.
Excellent. So last question before we take questions from Ashish sir and the team here. If you were not doing what you are doing right now, what do you think you might be doing?
I have no idea. I enjoy doing whatever I am doing, and the pace at which I am doing. All my friends told me that you can't be doing anything else because you can't be lazier than what you are. So I probably I'll be doing this only or something like this, unless some new thing catches my fancy. Well, I'm not trained for any of it. I'm a self-taught, absolutely self-taught. So the other thing which I keep saying is, when you start off, if you have been, I find it very interesting when people tell me that my background is this. So what? I mean, your background means you've learned something, but actually what is to be learned is how to learn anything. That is the key. I mean, if you can't keep on learning whatever takes your fancy, then you will be out of reckoning in no time. Today, whatever is being taught to you is not going to be relevant after 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So you should be able to pick up new things as and when at a situation you are in. And that's how it is. You should learn how to learn rather than anything else.
Superb. So we'll open up for questions. Kipich, we'll start with Ashish sir and then we'll rotate the mic.
What is your wish list now, or what is next for you?
There are a lot of things which I'm thinking of, but my basic this thing is I should be doing something which really, really helps people, the underprivileged in underserved areas worldwide. And if this has actually got the potential to do that, I wish that I've already impacted more than 1 million lives, I think around 1.5 million already. But this should be taken into a government scheme where I don't have to, every sale is not a huge starting from scratch, that what it is, why not, why this, why, I mean, you have to start from, and everyone wants to validate it at their own pace and at their own this thing, whether they are really, they can do it or not. So it should come under a government scheme, because this is something which the government should do. I mean, here I have done it for, because I just did it. But this is government's job. To give safe water is government's job.
It's open for questions. If anyone want to ask any questions, please let us know.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I want to ask a question that during this innovative product or production of innovative product, what obstacle do you face and how you tackle it?
The hospitals are there everywhere. I mean, you just have to see what is the best, most cost-effective way which you have to do it. Like for manufacturing this, everyone said you have to set up a factory. You need this, you need that, you need whatever. Nothing. I don't want all those things. I don't even know how to handle a factory in that sense. So I just made, this has got some 10-15 products, 10-15 parts, and each part is of a different material. So I just studied it. This is the material which is required. Who is the best guy to do molding of that material? First you do a 3D print of it, or you make it yourself, and then you go and give it to someone who will happily do it for you. Now everywhere there is so much of excess capacity that you have to be an absolute idiot to do all these things yourself. When these are available, they lay a red carpet for you to give them an order. And just assemble it and they're done. So what challenge or what? Great fun.
Thanks.
Hello sir, is it your product replaceable to ozonator? In case of STP?
Answer is yes, but not this product.
Because ozonator take too much.
See, I'll tell you the basic principle since you've asked, and I think you're an engineer. Otherwise, you wouldn't have asked this. So what we have basically cracked is the technology. This is just a product of that technology. That technology is called hydrodynamic cavitation. Now, what is cavitation? Cavitation is, you have seen impellers, propellers getting pitted, which is a normal phenomena. Everyone, whoever has opened a pump, or why does the pump get bad? It's got that pitting. Now, if the hardest of the material, which is the propeller or impeller or whatever, has got pitted, that means it's got huge amounts of energy. That's why it's getting pitted. So what basically happens is because of a phenomena called cavitation. And cavitation bubble, when it collapses, there are basically 4 things which happen. One is very, very high temperature, which is around twice the temperature of the sun. Is around 10,000 degrees centigrade is the temperature for a momentary this thing. There is huge pressure, which is 500 to 600 bars. And third is there is huge turbulence, which is 2 to 3 times the speed of sound, Mach. And all these bubbles act as localized reactors. So basically what I have done is place these reactors on the path of a flowing fluid so that the turbulence, the high pressure creates shock waves which kills the microbes. So in very simple terms, that is what it is. I have used the shock waves to kill microbes. I could use the shock waves to make micron-sized particles to nano-sized particles, which has got another range of applications. You can actually get about chemical reactions. You've heard of COD, chemical oxygen demand, biological oxygen demand, and things like that. In a sewage plant or in an effluent treatment plant, you can reduce the COD dramatically. Okay, so that is there. Because of the turbulence, what you're saying, that ozone which you are injecting, that can be got down at least minimum around 30 to 40 times. So all these are there, and that's what I'm saying, that I am doing it because this will really have some impact on humanity. Because otherwise I was doing other things. I was doing all these things for the industry, and it would probably save some 10 paisa or something to some Ambani, Adani or whoever. That's not, you won't even notice.
So I have a question. What is the costing of this particular product, and if suppose somebody wishes to buy, like we have many platforms in our colony and in our house, so how to fit it and where to get it?
The fitting, in fact, those are the things which I have really spent my energies on. Fitting takes less than an hour. and can be done by absolutely anybody. Our website has all the installation films. It doesn't require any special tools or anything of that kind. I have presently priced it at 6,100 rupees, and with 18% GST it comes to 7,198, 7,200, and whatever that local plumber takes and transportation logistics. As a ballpark figure, if you all are doing it yourself, not in a very remote area or something, 8,000, 8,500 is the budget we estimate, I would think. But then, there are other factors involved.
So for the audience over here, do we have like some bulk deal option today? Just applicable today, because we are talking about price.
Up till now, I have never ever given any discount to anybody because for the simple reason, number one, I'm bootstrapped, and the second thing is this is whatever monies I'm making out of this. I'm not saying I'm not making money. I am making monies, but it is all going into research. I don't have a paid professorship or whatever where your daily dalwaj is taken care of. I don't have any of that. So, and I'm putting in every bit of money, whatever I'm making, into new products. There are several products which are lined up. I am concentrating on this at the present moment because this has got the maximum, as per me, the maximum impact on humanity. And probably if this takes off at some level, at some this thing, my ticket to heaven is confirmed.
So like I don't need to take a permission from anybody because the hand pumps are of the municipality, right?
Yeah, I'll answer. You're absolutely right. In fact, all the hand pumps are, it belongs to the government, municipality or whoever. But like I said, in this journey of mine, people have unknowingly, knowingly have helped me so much because the basic idea is so powerful, giving safe water. You won't believe what Government of India has done for me. You won't believe. The Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Rural Development and Panchayati Raj has issued a letter to me naming Taraltec, addressed to all the states, 28 states in India, addressed to the secretaries of all of them, saying that not only permission, they can draw 15th Central Commission grants to buy it. So it is free. It is free. Forget about permission. So the CSRs, whoever wants to buy, because it's a part of the CSR, whoever wants to buy, I tell them that here is the letter, you have to just show it to the Sarpanch, who himself can buy it out of the funds, because now the funds have been decentralized. It is not you require any block development officer or the collector or whoever's permission, that Sarpanch has got the powers to buy this. And he can utilize the 15 Finance Commission grants to buy it.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, I would like to first of all, Ashish sir, Anjan sir and Rohit sir, we are honored to have you here. Anjan sir, we are lucky to be hearing your experiences. So my question to you is, so when you started with this prototype, sir, have you had thought that it will reach such heights and would be so successful?
If, I keep telling it to people, 3 things, if you are not bothered about, life is very cool. One is fame, one is money and popularity. If these 3 you are not bothered about and you stay under the radar, life is very cool, no one will disturb you, you can do your work and get as much joy for yourself as you want. I think that answers.
So I have one more question. So since you have written a book already, so are you planning to write another book?
My next book, I've been telling, is my autobiography. It will not be in non-fiction, it will be in the humor section. because of the type of interactions I've had with people.
Thank you so much.
Sir, if we are working on some new products or service, we know that it is good for the society, but the market is not mature enough. How do we know that? Does it worth it to continue or to change the path?
I mean, I'm coming back, I'm repeating myself. You are doing it for your own joy. Soon you will realize whether the market wants it or doesn't want it. If it doesn't want it and you don't want to go any further, change your track, do something else. Basically, you should do it for your own joy. Forget about market, forget about valuation, forget about venture capital, angel funding, whatever. Forget all those things. If they have to come, they'll come.
No,
And when it comes, you will be telling people, I don't want it. I can assure you that.
so if the product is good for the society, then
Then society will take it. What's your problem?
yeah.
Are you enjoying doing it?
Yes.
Do it. और क्या चाहिए?
You mentioned about the three things multiple times. I just want to know how come you can stay away from these three things.
That's probably, I mean, if it comes, great. If it doesn't come, also great. It's got a huge this thing about how you've been brought up. Being brought up in a very academic family. My father was a professor, my mother was a teacher. These things never really had any impact. And during the time when we were growing up, these professions were not paying. They were just, okay, you have a good life, but not paying. So it's everything to do with where you have been brought up. To the extent, with the people who, if they tell me that, you're doing good job, it makes me feel very, very good. All those people, they are known. They are all, like normal people. And I value their judgment more than if whoever has got oodles of money telling me that, you're doing a great job. Because it's always the appreciation which comes from the people you respect that you feel the greatest joy. To the extent, I've got 4 patents now, 3 of them pending and 1 granted. That has given me far, far greater joy than if probably, if I ever make money, I will get. Because that, like when I quit IIT, all the profs and all my uncles there at that time said that you're an absolute idiot to have done this. But when the patents came, they called me as a guest lecturer in IIT. Then they told me, hey, what you did was great. That was far more. It was very nice to me. I mean, I felt good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Since my childhood, I used to hear that there's an English proverb that your net worth is your net worth. But I could not correlate within the span of 24 years. But I surely could correlate your life with the saying that your net, if you have a very good network, then ultimately it's a network. Because due to your network, you could manage all these things. So, with the proverb that leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. Today, we are fortunate that we have Honorable Sir, esteemed guest with us. With this, now I request Mr. Kshitij, the Senior Manager at MAGIC, to please deliver word of thanks on this occasion.
Thank you, Mukherjee sir, for taking his time and coming for us, for giving his valuable, sharing his journey from scratch to an entrepreneur. And the takeaway that which we take, I would like to mention 2 points like Rohit had already said, that how to form an inorganic team and carrying the prototype or the entrepreneurship. And second is the happiness in the journey of challenges. I would like to thank Shirulkar sir for giving this venue and college, I would like to thank Reba sir. I would like to actually acknowledge Firozji for coordinating and helping this whole event. I would like to thank Ashish sir for taking his time and came for the event. I would like to thank CEO of MAGIC for this wonderful interview. I would like to acknowledge Roshni ma'am, who is here from Divya Marathi. I would like to thank Nikhil, who's taking the photographs, and he's the social media handler for the MAGIC. And last not the least, the MOC, Noman. Thank you. Thanks a lot.